What's up, y'all? It's Vern again with another episode of Two Movies, One Plot, where I discuss, spoiler alert, two movies that have very similar plots that were released around the same time. Today's episode is Terminal Velocity and Drop Zone. First movie I'm going to discuss is Drop Zone, starring Wesley Snipes and his antagonist, the amazing Gary Busey. This is the action-y trope movie in where Wesley Snipes plays a DEA agent who has to turn in his badge and gun because he doesn't believe that the computer hacker that was kidnapped off a 747 is still alive. He does his own investigation, tracks down the girlfriend of somebody who could have possibly done this, Witchblade. I can never remember her name. It'll be here somewhere. And she agrees to train him how to skydive and pretty much how to do the skyjacking, and he has to sponsor her skydiving team at this event, which will become very important later in the plot. This movie is very paint by numbers until the very crazy finale, in where the criminals who kidnapped this hacker want to use a 4th of July skydiving fireworks event in DC to parachute onto the roof of the DEA, headquarters and steal the list of all the undercover agents to sell to cartels. If this sounds a little similar, it's the exact same thing they do in Mission Impossible, only 2 years later. Break into the CIA, steal a list of undercover people. Now, the suspension of disbelief on the fact that they would allow skydiving in the restricted airspace of Washington, D.C., fine. My major problem with this movie is it was released in December of 1994. Your finale takes place on July 4th. Why not, knowing there's another parachute movie coming out, which we'll get to in a second, release near July 4th? How confusing was it somebody going during Christmas time and seeing a summer movie where half the movie takes place in Florida and then the finale is July 4th? The next movie is Terminal Velocity, starring Tiger Blood's own Charlie Sheen. He is a skydiving instructor who has to prove his innocence after a woman skydives and apparently dies during a jump. He not only finds out that she's still alive, but she's a KGB agent here in America to stop other KGB agents from stealing gold, led by the late great James Gandolfini. This one is a mess. It's stupid fun. It's one of those, what's going on right now? Just the KGB element is crazy. There's a segment in where he's on a rocket sled, kind of similar to what happens in Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. But one of the craziest scenes is where the young woman is put in the trunk of a car, it's on a plane, it's pushed out of the back of the plane, he skydives and does the whole thing. This is very skydive. There's so many excuses for him to use a parachute. There's a time he has a parachute to like a gas pipeline thing. They just needed to have parachutes. That was the point of the movie. The thing about this movie that I never understood was the fact that no one believed this guy, although he keeps showing up at criminal crimes where guns are being going off. It's like, well, if he accidentally killed a woman, why would someone be trying to kill him? It was very confusing, towards the end, where people were still not believing him when so many other crazy things. This is Arizona in the 90s. Gun violence wasn't a thing, and a scary James Gandolfini, accent or otherwise, he had a real suspicion no matter where he goes. Now, not only do these have similar skydiving elements and the bad guys and somebody's dead but they're not dead, they have charismatic bad guys, James Gandolfini and Gary Busey. Also, surprisingly, they have female sidekicks, but they're not sidekicks. Both women have a very particular set of skills, unique and well utilized. They're also slightly romantic interests. It's also the 90s, so we know what's going to happen with Wesley and his romantic interest, non-link. I prefer action over anything else when it comes to bad movies, so actually these movies were really entertaining. The skydiving elements, the fact that people had to actually jump out of an airplane and do these stunts versus things now. Still, I think you should still go out and check them out just to say that you saw these really weird movies that we won't make anymore. This has been Vern for Two Movies, One Plot. Please like, subscribe, comment below, and tell me if you know any other movies that are very similar in plot that you would like me to discuss. Talk to you later.
Hey folks, if you enjoyed that video, you'll probably like our other stuff. So make sure to go check that out on our channel. And while you're there, please make sure to subscribe so you can see what we have cooking up for you. Won't you come join our Gambia? You'll be glad you did.